The tale, as told in the stories of 1001 Nights, says that Belukia was a young man from among the children of Israel. His father had been one of the kings of great power. When his father died, he left him a vast kingdom and immense wealth. Though still in the freshness of his youth, Belukia would reflect on the ancient books and frequent the wise men to learn from the accounts of past nations. One day, an old book came into his hands containing the stories of the ancients, and among its lines he found mention of a prophet who would be sent at the end of time, the seal of the prophets and messengers, and that he would be given a ring in which lay the secret of kingship and dominion over the earth. When Belukia read this, his heart was shaken, and he began to ask himself aloud, "How can I reach this prophet? How can I obtain the ring spoken of in these books? Is it possible for me to attain it, or is the path long and arduous?" Then he replied to himself, "My resolve does not know hesitation, and my purpose does not bend. I must travel through the earth in search of it. I must expose myself to what no one before me has endured." Whenever he was alone, he would speak with himself as though with a companion listening to him, saying, "Oh, my soul, can you bear this long journey? Do you have the strength to face wonders and marvels?" And his soul would answer him as though in dialogue, "You were born to seek, not to rest. You were created to wander, not to sit in your father's palaces. So go forth to your goal, even if the roads break you." So Belukia departed from his city, leaving behind all his father's kingdom, lightened of worldly burdens, content with what he carried on his back. He journeyed through vast deserts without end, until he reached their edge and stood before a mighty sea, whose breadth he had never seen the like of in his life. He stood long upon its shore, speaking to himself, "How shall I cross this sea when I possess neither ship nor companion? In its waters lies what cannot be grasped, and in its depths what cannot be endured." Then he heard the voice of the waves, as though answering him in a mysterious dialogue. "Whoever seeks the goal must cross. Whoever desires to reach must not complain of the path." His heart trembled, thinking the sea itself spoke to him. He whispered in reply, "If you are a way to my purpose, then I shall cross you, even if your waves overwhelm me. I shall not turn away from my resolve." Belukia continued along the shore for days and nights, contemplating the waves and casting his gaze toward the horizon, until he met a strange man, surrounded on every side by the marks of estrangement. He stopped and gazed long upon him, then asked, "Who are you, O man?" The stranger answered, "I am the seeker of the secret of life. I have wandered the earth east and west, yet I have not found." Belukia said, "And I am the seeker of the ring given to the seal of the prophets. Shall we find in journeying together some comfort and companionship?" The man replied, "The road is long, and whoever travels alone is lost. Let us walk together." Belukia felt a measure of solace and said within himself, "O my soul, you have found a companion for this journey. Be a support to him, and do not fear the hardships of the path." And his soul answered, "You shall not go astray so long as your intention is pure. Go forth and do not look back." So Belukia and his companion journeyed along the coasts and wildernesses, traversing day and night, until they entered a strange and wondrous land, as though it had not been created for the sons of Adam. At every step, Belukia marveled and spoke to himself, "How many are the wonders in this world, and how vast its secrets? Perhaps what I see may be a path to my goal, or a sign guiding me to my desire." They traveled for many days and nights, crossing deserts and wastelands, valleys and mountains. Each night, when darkness fell, they would sit together and share with one another the burdens of travel and the length of the road. Belukia would say, "My friend, how lonely is this path, and how far the goal we seek. Yet I feel within me a force urging me to continue, a hidden voice pressing me not to stop nor turn back. And the other man would answer, I am as you are. Whenever I think to retreat, my soul reminds me of the distances I have already crossed and the hardships I have endured. Then I say to her, O soul, how can you flee after we have tasted the bitterness of the road? Do you not see that patience brings us closer to the goal? Often Belukia's soul would enter into long conversations with him when his companion slept. He would speak to it as to a third fellow traveler. O my soul, how many nights have we passed in the bitter cold of the desert? And how many days have we borne beneath the blazing sun? Yet you never cease reminding me of the promise I read in the books. Do you not fear it may all be but a mirage? And his soul would reply, as though seated before him, You walk in destiny, and what has been written for you must come to pass. Be patient, for patience is your only provision. One night, after a long march, they entered a land unlike any they had seen before, a land clothed in green grass, laced with running streams, and filled with birds singing in voices they had never heard. Belukia gazed at the birds circling and returning, as if wishing to speak to him in a tongue beyond human grasp. He said to his companion, Look at these birds. In their songs, they seem to tell us something. Do you think their melodies carry a meaning we do not understand? The man answered, Perhaps they are glorifying their creator, or perhaps warning us of danger to come. Belukia smiled and said, Every sound in this wondrous land carries a message, but I cannot yet comprehend it. Then they came upon a wide river, its water clear as glass, and in its depths, fish of many colors moving with strange slowness. Belukia sat at its bank and spoke aloud to the flowing water. O running river, you who cleave the earth and embrace the heavens, is there in your course a path that will lead me to my aim? And the murmur of the water replied in a faint melody, Every stream ends in a sea, and every sea leads to a destiny. Be patient in the journey, for no water flows without a mouth. There is no traveler but that he has an end. His companion turned to him and said, Did you hear what I heard? It was as though the river itself was speaking to us. Belukia replied, How wondrous are the things I see and hear. The road to the unknown lies open before us, and marvels never cease. Then he began to cross the river. They had fashioned for themselves a small boat from tree trunks cast upon the banks. As they were in the midst of the waters, a great fish appeared before them, larger than any known to man. It raised its head from the water and fixed upon them with wide eyes. Then it spoke in a hoarse, deep voice. O strangers, what has brought you to these lands? Belukia's companion trembled and whispered, It speaks. Is this a dream or waking? But Belukia gathered his courage and said, We have come seeking knowledge and striving after a distant goal. We do not fear to meet with wonders. The fish said, The road before you is long and filled with terrors. If you are steadfast, then be patient. But if not, turn back before you regret it. Then it sank into the water and vanished. Belukia looked at his companion and said, You heard its warning. What do you say? His companion answered, He who turns back loses what he has already traveled. And he who continues fears nothing but what is written for him. Let us go on, for perhaps in continuing the path lies our true aim. Belukia smiled and said, Well spoken. That is the word that pleases me. When they had crossed the river, they entered a land shrouded in silence. No sound of bird nor whisper of wind was heard, as though it were empty of all life. There, Belukia felt a deep loneliness. He sat with his companion and said, My friend, do you not feel that this land sends dread into the heart, as though it were a vast graveyard with no one dwelling within it? His companion replied, Yes, but I think behind this silence lies a great secret. Let us wait, and perhaps the days will reveal what is hidden. That night, Belukia could not close his eyes. He spent the hours conversing softly with himself. "O my soul, I am weary from travel, exhausted by these roads, yet I cannot return. I have no choice but patience until I see the end of this matter. If you think that rest lies in going back, know that true rest lies in reaching the goal. For man finds no peace until he has answered his question." And his soul replied, "Indeed, you speak the truth. Go on and do not look back." Thus the night passed upon them, slow and heavy, while Belukia's dialogue with his soul did not cease until the dawn rose, and they rose with it to continue their journey into a land unlike anything seen in tales or in the books of the ancients. Belukia and his companion went on through that silent land where no bird's call nor beast's footstep was heard until they thought the earth itself had died long ages ago. The air was heavy, and the sky was gray with unmoving clouds. The two men walked cautiously, and with every few steps they felt as though the earth beneath them sighed or breathed. Belukia said to his companion, "Do you not feel this trembling under our feet, as though the earth itself were alive, awakening from slumber, watching us with hidden eyes?" His companion answered hesitantly, "I fear this land may be the dwelling of creatures unknown, creatures who do not welcome strangers to tread upon their home." Belukia smiled with steady composure and said, "If the earth is a dwelling for us, why should it not be for them as well? We are no more entitled to it than they. Yet I sense that between us and them lies an inevitable meeting." No sooner had he spoken than they heard from afar a faint murmur like water rushing beneath the rocks. They followed the sound until they reached a vast cavern, its mouth gaping like a gateway to another world. Belukia's companion hesitated and said, "Entering this cave may be our destruction. Let us remain upon the open earth." But Belukia stepped forward and said, "My friend, no goal is attained without crossing dangers. If we turn back at the first fear, how shall we reach what cannot be reached?" The two entered the cave. Within it was a strange light, issuing not from torch nor fire, but as though flowing from the very stone walls. The deeper they went, the clearer became the carvings upon the walls, depictions of beings never before seen, with wings, fangs, and burning eyes. Belukia stood long in contemplation and said to himself, "What are these images? Are they the traces of a people long perished? Or messages left for those who pass after them?" And his soul answered, "Every carving tells a tale. Every symbol holds a secret. If you understand what lies upon these walls, you will grasp a part of your path." While he was deep in reflection, the cavern suddenly trembled, and from its depths emerged a colossal being, its body like living rock, its eyes like coals of fire. It stood before Belukia and his companion and spoke with a voice like thunder. "O mortals, what has brought you to my dwelling?" Belukia's companion recoiled in fear and said, "Forgive us." "O Lord, we did not mean to disturb you." But Belukia stood firm and said, "We have come seeking knowledge, walking a path that has been written upon us. If our presence is permitted, grant us leave to depart." The being replied, "Departure is no longer a choice. Whoever enters this cavern does not leave unless he learns its secret." Belukia asked, "And what is its secret, O guardian?" The being said, "Its secret lies in the courage to face what the heart fears, in the patience to endure what burdens the body, and in faithfulness to what is seen and heard. If you are ready, answer me, what do you seek from this long journey?" Belukia, gathering himself, said, "I seek to reach the goal spoken of in the books, a goal that will open for me the gate of understanding and knowledge, and reveal to me what lies beyond the world we know." His companion said, and I seek to be a witness to wonders, to depart from this life, having seen what no other has seen." Then light burst forth from the being's eyes, illuminating the whole cavern. It said, "Then go on, but know that the path beyond this cavern is harder than all that has passed. If you are truthful, fear not what you will behold." Then it proceeded slowly until it melted into the walls, as though it had never been. Belukia sat astounded and said, "O my soul, how wondrous is this world! Are we in dream or waking? If these visions are illusions, how can I explain the speech and light of that being? And if they are truths, how can the mind of man contain them?" His soul replied, "Seek not to explain. Rather, fix your heart upon patience. For every scene on this road holds a wisdom that is not revealed until its time." They left the cavern and came to a land no eyes had ever seen before. A land paved with crystal, every step upon it sounding a chime, as though the earth itself played hidden music. Belukia stood in awe and said to his companion, "Do you not hear? Every step is a melody, as though the earth itself sings to us the song of the path." His companion replied, "This is a land not made for mankind, a land written that we should tread upon it, yet not created for our feet. I fear its dwellers will be angered by our passage." Belukia said, "The road is not open to us except by the earth's own consent. Let us continue, for perhaps it is testing us with these harmonies." Then he sat upon a transparent stone, placed his hand upon it, and whispered, "O wondrous earth, if you are alive as I feel, then accept my passage, and let not my steps upon you be a sin." Then the earth answered him with a tone purer than all that had come before. His heart trembled, and he said, "I heard you, and I will go on." As they walked through that crystalline world, the breath of Belukia whispered to him in a long murmur, "Do you see, Belukia, how many wonders you have witnessed? And yet your heart did not waver, nor your resolve weaken. If you were among those who sought pleasure or status, you would have faltered at the very first trial. But you are a seeker of knowledge, and knowledge is not granted to the student until the path has tested him with harsh trials." Belukia smiled and said to himself, "How truthful you are, companion of my solitude. You alone answer me when my friend sleeps, and you alone drive me forward when my feet grow weak. So walk with me, for I am nothing without you." Thus they continued walking in that wondrous land, where every stone glowed and every breeze whispered, not knowing that what awaited them was beyond imagination and greater than any dream. Belukia and his companion emerged from the land of crystal, exhausted by the journey, while the voices of the earth still rang in their ears like endless distant melodies. When they reached the edge of that luminous land, they found before them an endless desert, its sands red as embers, blazing under a strange sun that knew neither rising nor setting. Belukia's companion stood in awe and said, "Do you not see this fire scorching our faces? How can we cross it with no provisions and no water?" Belukia replied, gazing at the horizon, "My friend, all we have passed through was nothing but a test. If this desert is the final trial, then either we cross it and reach what we seek, or we perish in it and rest from hardship." His companion sighed and said, "You speak as one who knows no fear, but I feel it gnawing at my heart whenever I look upon this burning void." Belukia placed his hand on his shoulder and said, "Fear, my friend, is nothing but a shadow in the heart. If we face it, it melts. If we flee from it, it spreads. So walk with me, for in this desert there will be only what has been written for us." They walked the burning sands for countless days and nights. With every step, the ground flared beneath their feet until it nearly consumed them. Belukia's companion moaned from thirst, while Belukia spoke to himself in the stillness of the night as his friend slept. "O soul, is this the path of men or the path of something else? Am I walking toward a destined fate or toward an illusion woven by hope?" And his soul answered like a deep inner voice, You were not created to remain in place, but to walk unknown paths. Every thirst that strikes you, every wound that bleeds from you, is but the price of something greater awaiting you. One night, as the moon hung like a coal in the sky, Belukia and his companion heard a roar shaking the sands. They stopped, and behold, a great beast emerged from the heart of the desert, the body of a lion, the wings of a bird, and eyes like fire. Belukia's companion trembled and cried, "Woe to us, our destruction has come." But Belukia stood firm and called to the beast, "O strange creature, if we have entered your land without leave, forgive us. We are but travelers seeking a path. We seek neither war nor enmity." The beast answered with a voice that thundered like the sky, "In this desert there is no stranger, no guest. Whoever treads here becomes part of it. None enter my realm without being tested by fire." Belukia replied, "Test us as you will. We are but weak humans, yet our hearts do not fear if the purpose is pure." The beast laughed until the sands quaked and said, "A heart that does not fear? You are strange indeed, son of dust. Hear me. If you wish to cross, choose between two fires. Either you walk this desert until your lives are consumed by thirst, or I shall drive you into my belly, where the fire never dies. If you emerge alive, then the land shall be yours." Belukia's companion shuddered and said, "How can we enter the belly of this creature? That is certain death." But Belukia looked into the beast's eyes with steady gaze and said, "I choose the harder path. If your belly is our doom, then let our death be witness to our truth. And if it holds life, then we shall not fear the darkness." The beast approached, opening its vast maw. Belukia and his companion entered between its fangs. They found themselves in a blazing corridor of fire, yet it did not consume their bodies, only seared their souls. Belukia heard the echo of his own voice in the dark. "Am I in hell, or in the womb of the earth? Is this a fire of punishment, or a fire of cleansing?" And his soul answered, "Endure, Belukia, for every fire only reveals the truth of those who pass through it." They walked within the beast until they reached a glowing chamber like a gate. They rushed through it and emerged from its chest into another desert, this one cold and white, its sands like snow, its breeze like silk. Belukia's companion stood astonished and said, "We entered the fire, yet we came out into paradise. What mystery is this?" Belukia, breathing deeply, replied, "Every fire is a door, and every pain a path. What we endured was not death, but a new birth." In that white desert, Belukia sat long in contemplation and said to himself, "I have seen a land of crystal, the cave of inscriptions, the desert of fire. What remains before me? The path grows more obscure, and I cannot see its end." His soul answered, "Do not seek the end, Belukia, for the end is seen only when the journey is complete. All you have passed through is but preparation, and greater yet lies ahead." While he was lost in this inner dialogue, a fierce wind rose, carrying voices like murmuring humans, as if spirits dwelt in the desert. The wind drew near, and Belukia heard a whisper in his ear. "Belukia, you have not come in vain. What you seek has been written for you since the dawn, but you will not attain it until you know your own secret, yourself, before the secret of the world." His heart trembled, and he called out to the why. "What is my secret?" But the wind gave no answer. It scattered into the void as though it had never been, leaving in his chest a greater longing and endless questions. Belukia and his companion walked on through the white desert, the one that resembled snow. Its sands did not burn their feet, but chilled their souls until they nearly froze. The silence there was uncanny. They heard no rustle, no whisper, as if it were a forgotten land untouched since creation. Belukia's companion looked around and said, "My friend, how desolate this land is. I feel its silence heavier than the silence of graves." Belukia answered as he gazed at the endless horizon, "Loneliness is not in the land, my friend, but in the heart. If the heart grows desolate, the whole world feels narrow, even if it is full. But if it finds peace, the vast wilderness feels wide, even as empty." They walked a long distance until towering white mountains appeared before them, like marble fortresses gleaming under a strange light of unknown source. As they drew near, they heard echoes reverberating between the peaks, like ancient tales dwelling within the rocks. Belukia's companion stopped, afraid, and said, "Do you hear? The rocks are speaking." Belukia replied, "It is memory, my friend. No land exists without preserving the traces of those who passed before." Moments later, one of the rocks split open, and from it emerged a majestic man. Tall of stature, clad in a robe of light, as though woven from the threads of the moon. He looked upon them and said in a deep voice, "O travelers, what has brought you to this land, where none are permitted to remain unless their souls have been tested?" Belukia bowed slightly and said, "We are wanderers on a long journey, seeking wisdom and the secret of eternity. Fate has led us to your land." The man smiled and said, "Eternity, how fiercely men chase what they cannot possess." Do you think, son of dust, that you were created to remain here forever? Belukia's companion shrank back and said, "I warned you, Belukia. Now your endless questions will be our doom." But Belukia replied with firmness, "I have come only as a seeker of knowledge. If in seeking lies my destruction, then death in pursuit of truth is lighter upon me than life in ignorance." The man fell silent, then looked at Belukia's companion and said, "As for you, you will remain torn between fear and hope until you decide in your heart which to embrace. If you do not break free from weakness, this land will swallow you as it did those before you." The companion trembled and said to Belukia, "I beg you, do not leave me. I am weary and I do not have your courage." Belukia placed his hand on his shoulder and said, "Do not fear, I will not abandon you. These words are but a warning for us both." As they spoke, the ground beneath their feet shifted, and a vast gate of marble opened within the mountain, pouring forth dazzling light. The man pointed and said, "This gate opens only for you. If you enter, you will see what no eyes have seen before. But beware, inside you will confront yourselves in forms you have never known." Belukia turned to his companion and asked, "Do you fear to enter?" The companion, sweating, replied, "I am afraid, but I will not leave you alone." Belukia smiled and said, "That is enough for me." They entered the gate and suddenly found themselves in a strange realm, neither desert, nor mountain, nor sea, but an endless expanse filled with trees of light, rivers of radiance, and sounds filling the air like melodies never before heard. Belukia walked in wonder, then heard a voice within him. "Here, Belukia, you see the reflection of your soul. All that you behold in this place is but you." He approached a river of light and saw images forming on its surface. He saw himself as a child, Chasey, his youth yearning for knowledge, his fears, his hopes, his confusion, all embodied before him. He spoke to the image. "Are you me?" The image answered, "I am what you were, what you are, and what you shall be. All that you seek outside has been within you from the beginning." Belukia sat at the riverbank, bowed his head, and said in a trembling voice, "O soul, the journey has wearied me. The questions have burdened me. Am I walking a path with no end?" His soul answered from the depths, "Every path ends in you. If you know yourself, you will find rest. But you remain a stranger to yourself, and so the wandering continues." Meanwhile, his companion stood behind him, weeping, as he saw in the river the images of his own fears, weakness, and hesitation, he cried out, "Woe to me! I have been but a burden to you, Belukia. You carried me as the strong carry the weak." Belukia rose and said, "Do not say that, my friend. Without you, I might have been lost in my silence. You are my mirror, as I am yours, and neither of us is complete without the other." As they spoke, the images suddenly dissolved, the river darkened, and the whole place was swallowed in shadow. Only a voice remained, saying, "The journey has only begun. What you have seen today is but a shadow of what awaits you." Belukia grasped his companion's hand in the darkness and said, "Whatever the path holds, I will not abandon you. I shall not turn back until I reach the goal, or the journey destroys me." When the images of the river faded, Belukia and his companion emerged from the darkness into a vast valley stretching without end, surrounded by towering mountains in strange colors, as though shrouded in mist of gold and silver. Belukia paused, gazing at the horizon, and said to himself, "O soul, how many lands have we seen? How many wonders have we crossed? And yet I still walk as a child, feeling his way." His soul replied in a calm inner voice, "Do not forget, every place you have seen was a trial. What lies before you now is greater and more dangerous. Gather your heart in patience." They began walking through the valley. With each step came a strange echo, voices in unknown tongues, as if ancient languages spoke of the earth's secrets. Suddenly, a strange being appeared before them, unlike anything they had seen. It had the body of a man, covered in shimmering scales, and its eyes glowed like burning flames. The creature gazed at them deeply and said in a thunderous voice, "Travelers, you have reached my land. Whoever enters this valley must face the final trial. Are you ready to confront what lies within you?" Belukia's companion trembled and said, "We are weary of trials, Belukia. Can we go on?" But Belukia answered with confidence, "Every step we take strengthens our resolve. Fear will not turn us from the path." The creature drew closer and said, "Now each of you shall face the images of himself, his fears, his weakness, everything buried in his heart. If you do not endure, this land will devour you." They sat, and the ground of the valley transformed before them. The sands turned into mirrors, reflecting every stage of their lives, their childhoods, their dreams, their fears, even their hidden desires. Belukia looked at his own image in the mirror and said, "Are you me? Is this whole journey for you or for me?" His reflection answered, "I am all that you were and all that you will be. If you do not face yourself, you will never know the path." Within, Belukia's soul whispered, "Here the secrets of the heart are revealed. Every fear, every hope will test you." Meanwhile, his companion gazed at his own images and shuddered. "I cannot bear this. Are all the trials of the path like this?" Belukia held his hand and said, Then the valley trembled, and before them appeared another being, greater and mightier, with vast wings and a face gleaming like steel. It said, "You have passed through much, but the hardest road still lies ahead. Are you ready for the true confrontation?" His companion shook his head in hesitation, but Belukia answered firmly, "Yes, however hard the path, we will not turn back." Suddenly, the ground split beneath their feet, revealing a glowing chasm like eternal fire. Pulling at all their emotions and fears, the being said, "Enter, for only in passing through will the truth be revealed." Belukia and his companion descended and found themselves in a luminous realm, strange, filled with glittering rivers, radiant waterfalls, towering mountains, and dense forests. Everything pulsed with life, as though the earth itself were alive. Belukia sat upon a glowing rock and said to himself, "Oh." The soul said, "We have gone through all of this, and what have we seen? "What have we discovered?" It answered, "You have seen the truth. The truth is that you are the path, and the immortality you seek is not in things, but in knowing yourself and confronting what you truly are." Belukia rested a little, then turned to his companion and said, "Do you not feel that everything we have gone through was not in vain? Every trial, every fear, revealed to us a part of ourselves." His companion replied, "Indeed, but the road has not yet ended, and what lies ahead is even greater." As they spoke, the earth trembled once more, and they heard a voice rising. "This journey continues, and what you have seen so far is only a prelude to what awaits you." Belukia sat gazing into the distant horizon and spoke to himself. "O soul, no matter how long the road, I will not abandon it. Every moment is pain. Every trial brings me closer to my goal, or at least strengthens my heart." And his soul replied, "Be patient, for the adventure has not yet ended, and along the way, more shall be revealed to you that you have not yet grasped." When Belukia and his companion crossed the luminous valley, they found themselves before an endless desert. Its sands were black as coal, reflecting the blood-red sky whenever night descended. Belukia's companion turned around anxiously and said, "Oh, Belukia, this land is unlike anything we've seen before. I feel as though everything we passed was only preparation for what is to come." Belukia answered, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Yes, every trial was a step, and every step revealed something we had not seen before. This desert, my friend, is the test of will." They walked for days and nights across this black land. With every step, the winds rose, carrying strange voices, like whispers of the past, present, and future, all at once. Belukia stopped and whispered to himself, "O soul, are we walking upon the earth or through illusions? Is what we see real or only reflections of what lies within us?" His soul answered, "All that you see is real, real for you. Every step proves that you walk your path. Every fear you face is a part of you that must be known." One night, as the moon was encircled by clouds red as blood, colossal beings appeared before them. Their bodies were half transparent. Their wings shone as though wrapped in light, and their eyes glowed in the darkness. One of the beings stepped forward and thundered across the desert, "Humans, you have reached the final trial. He whose heart does not remain steadfast shall not leave alive." Belukia's companion trembled and said, "I cannot bear this, O Belukia. The path has become heavier than we imagined." But Belukia replied with unshaken confidence, "Fear is part of the journey. Whenever you feel afraid, remember, the goal is greater than the pain." The creature approached him and, "Then are you ready to face your greatest fears?" Belukia fixed his eyes upon hers and answered, "I am ready. Every doubt, every weakness in my heart, I shall confront them until I reach my goal." The creature nodded, and the desert began to shift around them. The black ash transformed into a lake of pure darkness. Its waters reflected every moment of weakness Belukia had known, every hardship of his journey. Belukia sat by the edge of the lake and said to himself, "O soul, look at what lies behind us. This whole journey, these fears, this pain. Are we truly walking the right path?" His soul replied, "The path has not yet ended. What you saw in the lake is nothing but a reflection of what you once were. Face each image, and you shall discover your true strength." Belukia began confronting the images in the lake. Each image spoke to him. The child, fearful, the youth, hesitant, the heart, shaken by wonders. And they said in one voice, "Path, tear down. Why did you fear? Why did you not endure? Do you think you can reach your goal without confronting yourself?" Belukia answered sharply, "Yes, I feared, but I did not stop. I faced every terror and every step was a challenge. I shall not falter now." The images smiled one by one, fading into the dark. The lake quivered, and on its surface appeared a shining gateway. The creature declared, "You have passed the test, but the road has not yet ended. He who leads unprepared shall remain forever in eternal darkness." Belukia turned to his companion and said, "Do you not feel we have grown stronger through every trial?" His companion wiped the sweat from his brow and replied, "Indeed, everything inside me has changed. I am no longer the man who began this journey." Together, they stepped through the gate and found themselves in another valley. This one was filled with ancient trees and glittering rivers. The waters sang, and the earth trembled gently beneath their feet as though welcoming the travelers. Belukia sat upon a stone and spoke to himself. "O soul, the path is still long, and questions remain without number. Yet my heart feels steadier, and my eyes see truth more clearly." His soul answered, "This is what you have sought, O Belukia. Every trial, every challenge was part of yourself, and much still lies ahead." As they walked deeper into this new valley, a distant voice echoed, "You have overcome darkness and fear, yet what awaits you is greater still. Prepare yourselves, the greatest secrets are about to be revealed." Belukia's companion shuddered and said, "I feel everything now has grown larger, heavier with danger." Belukia answered firmly, "This is the way, my friend. The closer we come to the goal, the greater everything becomes. Let us go on, and let us not fear." They entered the new valley and found themselves among towering trees, unlike any their leaves glowed in strange colors and gave off sounds like mysterious whispers. Belukia's companion looked around in awe. "Everything we saw before was strange, but this valley seems alive, as if it watches us." Belukia smiled and said, "Yes, my friend. Every land we cross is a mirror of what we are. These trees, these rivers, even the winds, they all watch our steps." As they moved between the trees, a faint voice called from afar, "Belukia, Belukia." Belukia stopped and said to himself, "Are these real voices or echoes within me?" His soul replied, "Everything you hear is part of you. Listen and do not fear." The voice drew closer, and a shadow took shape before them, half human, half unseen, moving swiftly among the trees. Its eyes glowed blue. It said, "You have come far, Belukia. You have faced your fears. You have overcome your trials. But the path has not ended. Greater secrets lie before you than you can yet imagine." Belukia's companion trembled and said, "I feel every step now carries greater peril." Belukia answered steadily, "The path was not made for ease, but for the one whose heart holds firm and dares the unimaginable." The mysterious being smiled and said, "To reach the end, you must face the greatest trial of all, facing your entire self, everything you have hidden in your heart since the beginning." Belukia sat upon a glowing stone and whispered to himself, "O soul, are we ready? Do I have the strength to face all that I am?" His soul answered, "Strength is not in avoiding fears, but in meeting them with honesty. Everything you have seen before was only preparation for this moment." The valley began to tremble. The earth beneath their feet turned into vast mirrors, reflecting all they had done. All words spoken, all moments of weakness and courage. Belukia's companion cried, "I see myself, I see all my fears. I have been afraid from the very beginning." Belukia grasped his hand and said, "Stand firm. This is what makes us stronger. Every fear faced becomes a path forward." Suddenly, before them appeared a massive radiant gate, beams of light flooding the valley. The mysterious being spoke, "This is the gate of truth." The ending. They entered, and what awaited them was greater than everything they had passed through. Belukia looked at his companion and asked, "Are we ready?" His companion replied hesitantly, "I think we have no choice but to enter." The two stepped through the gate, and suddenly they found themselves in another world. A world filled with golden rivers, mountains gleaming with silver and light, and trees that spoke in voices resembling music. Everything pulsed with life in a strange way, as though the very earth wished to reveal to them its greatest secrets. Belukia sat upon a glowing rock and spoke to himself. "O soul, we have seen everything. A crystal of the earth, the cave of Inscrip, the fiery desert, the white desert, the great encounters, and now this place. But what is the true purpose?" His soul answered, "The purpose, O Belukia, is not in the things you see, but in knowing yourself and facing all that you are. Every trial was a step toward the final truth." Belukia then looked to his companion and said, "I feel that we have grown stronger, that every fear we faced has become part of our strength." His companion replied, "Yes, but the road has not yet ended. There are still secrets waiting for us." As they walked through this world, the wings rose, carrying strange voices, as though chanting, "You have passed through all darkness, but what you have not yet seen is greater. Prepare yourselves, for the journey is not yet over." Belukia sat for a moment and said to himself, "O soul, no matter how long the road, I will not turn back. Every step, every encounter, every trial brings me closer to the goal, or at least strengthens my heart." His soul replied, "Be patient, for the end is still far, and before you lies the unveiling of the greatest secrets." After Belukia and his companion crossed the radiant valley, they found themselves before a colossal mountain, its summit glowing with golden light, as though it guarded the end of the road. Belukia's companion gazed at the peak and asked, "Is this the end, or is it yet another illusion of the long road?" Belukia smiled and said, "Whatever the truth may be, we must climb. Every step so far was but a prelude to what awaits us." They began the ascent. Every step sent forth a resounding echo, reverberating across the mountains, as though the voices of all who had walked before them. Belukia spoke softly to his soul, "O soul, every step forward reveals something new about me. Every fear I faced has become part of me, and every trial I endured has become my strength." His soul answered, "Now you will face what your heart has never seen, what you have never understood about yourself, and what you have not yet realized about the path." As they climbed higher, a massive gate appeared before them, forged from pure gold, engraved with mysterious symbols glowing faintly, visible only to the keen eye. Belukia's companion trembled and said, "This gate, I feel that behind it lies something greater than everything we have faced." Belukia answered firmly, "This is the final test, my friend. Everything we have passed through has been preparing us for this." They entered the gate and found themselves in a vast, endless hall. The ground and walls glowed with light, and the air was filled with strange whispers, echoing the innermost thoughts of their hearts throughout the journey. Belukia gazed around and said, "O soul, everything I have seen since the beginning is gathered here, every trial, every fear, every hardship." His soul replied, "And this is the purpose. O Belukia, all is now before you, and everything you faced becomes a mirror of yourself." Suddenly, a colossal being appeared before them, a fusion of all the creatures they had met along the way. Its eyes shone like stars, wings of light stretched from its back, and its body pulsed with raw energy. It spoke in a voice that thundered through the hall. "O travelers, you have passed through all paths, all dangers, and all encounters. Now before you lies the greatest trial, the final truth of all that you are." Belukia's companion trembled and said, I feel my heart collapsing." But Belukia held his hand and replied, "Stand firm, my friend. We will not turn back. Every fear we have faced was but a step toward the truth. The beings surrounded them, and every corner of the hall transformed into mirrors. Mirrors reflecting every moment of their lives. Childhood, youth, fears, dreams, joy, sorrow, courage, and weakness. The being said, "Look, this is all that you are, all that you were, and all that you shall become. This is the truth." Belukia sat upon a glowing rock and said to his soul, "O soul, all that we have passed through, every trial, every danger, was not in vain. Each step taught me something about myself, about the path, and about life itself." His soul replied, "Now you know, O Belukia, everything you faced is a part of you, and every strength you gained is but a reflection of your inner courage." Belukia turned to his companion and said, "Do you see now? Every fear we faced, every trial we endured, was simply the path to discover ourselves." His companion replied, "Yes, I see now. We have grown stronger and wiser. I am no longer the man who began this journey." The being spoke once more. "You have crossed the darkness. Every trial was a step toward the light. The journey is not over, but what you have learned is the greatest secret. True strength lies in facing the self with honesty." Belukia felt at peace and said to his soul, "O soul, no matter how long the path, I will not turn back. Every step, every encounter, every trial brings me closer to my goal." His soul replied, "Be patient, for the adventure is not yet over. Greater secrets still lie ahead." As they sat, the hall filled with light, and all the beings they had met along the way appeared in fleeting visions, as though blessing their journey. The final being spoke softly, "You have proven that the journey is not only about reaching an end, but about knowing the path and learning courage and honesty with oneself. What remains now is to choose how you will continue, with unyielding resolve." Belukia and his companion sat in the radiant hall, gazing at all that their journey had gathered. The trials, the fears, the discoveries. His companion sighed and said, "O Belukia, I can scarcely believe all that we have endured. Every step was greater than the last. Every encounter made my heart pound harder." Yes, everything was a trial, and every trial was a mirror of our hearts. The journey was not just about reaching the end, but about knowing ourselves, to discover true courage and the strength that was always within us. He looked around and said to his soul, "O soul, we have crossed the crystal, the cave, the fiery desert, the white desert, the rivers and valleys, the strange creatures, and every trial was preparation for today, the day we understand everything." His soul answered softly, "Now you know, O Belukia, strength does not lie in what the eye sees, but in the honest facing of the self. Everything you gained from the journey was not in vain. It will remain with you always." Belukia looked at his companion and said, "We have become stronger. We are no longer those who began the journey. We have learned patience, courage, and determination." His companion replied, "Yes, I see it now. There is no fear that can break us anymore. No doubt can sway us. Everything." Suddenly, before them appeared a radiant gate of pure light, as though it marked the end of the road. The great being said, "O travelers, all your trials have led you to this gate. Whoever opens it shall see the final truth, that strength, wisdom, and peace are not found in a place or along a path, but in the heart that faces itself with honesty." Belukia stepped toward the gate, his companion beside him. He said to his soul, "O soul, is this the end or the beginning?" His soul answered, "It is the beginning, O Belukia, the beginning of what you shall become, and what you have learned will never fade." Belukia opened the gate, and they emerged into a vast land filled with light and peace. There was no fear there, no sorrow. Everything was in balance, as though the world itself had found rest. Belukia stood tall, lifted his head toward the sky, and said, "The path is complete, O soul. I am no longer afraid. I am no longer lost. Everything we endured was to teach me the meaning of courage and knowledge. His soul smiled within him and said, "And now, O Belukia, the journey is complete. What you have learned is the greatest secret, that the path itself, with all its hardships, is what shapes a man." Belukia turned to his companion and said, "We have become wiser and stronger. Every step was a road toward the truth." His companion smiled and said, "Yes, and everything we faced was worth the struggle." I am no longer the same man who began this journey. Together they sat, enjoying the silence and peace that followed all the trials. They knew that what they had gained would never fade, and that all the adventures they had lived were but a prelude to a deeper understanding, greater than any land, desert, creature, or trial they had ever faced. And thus was revealed the final secret: to face oneself and to have the strength to continue, no matter how long the road. And so ended the long journey of Belukia, a journey filled with adventures, encounters, inner and outer dialogues, lessons from every step, and the realization that true strength comes from facing the self with honesty and the unyielding resolve to continue, no matter how fierce the trials.